Hi everyone. Okay, so I was gonna do another sliding off in the ditch story, but this is not snow related, and I actually wasn't a kid when I did this. I was a father. So one year at Christmas time, we were decorating the tree, and it was a real tree. And Katie, who I don't know, she can maybe Kate, if you watch this, you can add in the comments how old you were. But my recollection is that you were maybe 9 or 10, maybe 11. Anyway, she got she scratched her eye on one of the pine needles of the tree, and so it was really bothering her, and so I took her to the hospital in Joliet so that they could take a look at her eye. Now it was fine. It did have a scratch, and I think they gave us a little bit of like some sort of salve to put on it or something like that. But basically they said, in a day or two it would feel better and it'd be fine. But I just wanted to make sure. So anyway, on the way back from the hospital, because the hospital was in Joliet, we lived in Coal City. It probably was 30 miles. I really don't remember, but if I had to guess, it was probably 30 miles. And so Katie and I went. I had this little Honda Civic CRX. Again, look it up if you don't know what they look like. I love that car. Nice little sporty looking thing. It was like driving a go-kart. But anyway, so I had this Honda CRX, and it's a small car. It's very light. And to be honest with you, my tires were probably not as treaded as they should be. So Katie and I are coming back down the interstate from Joliet going to Coal City. And I mean, I'm not speeding, I don't think, but I'm probably going the speed limit. And at one point, and it was wet. I don't know if it was actually raining, but the road was definitely wet. So at one point, we're coming around this big curve, and there's a really strong wind coming from the side of the car. So you have this combination of curve, wet, strong wind from the side, and for some reason or other, the car loses grip and begins to slide. And it was frightening, I will say that. But like most things like that, you just, you kind of get through the best you can. So I tried to maintain control of the car and keep it on the road, but I was unable to do that. And so we slid into the ditch in the middle of the interstate. Thank goodness there were no other cars behind us. Thank goodness that we didn't, that things weren't worse. So anyway, we end up in the bottom of this ditch, and it's kind of a classic, big interstate ditch. It's I mean, I don't know, 20, 30 feet wide, maybe more, 40 or 50 feet. And probably, but generally gently sloping sides. But this particular ditch, they had gone and put another ditch kind of in the middle of it, if I remember correctly. It was even deeper, sort of a steep-sided thing. But I don't know if that's completely right. But anyway, at some point, so what happened was at the bottom of this ditch, we ended up with one of the front wheels down in this deeper part of the ditch. And so what that did was the car was sitting kind of cockeyed with one of the back wheels up in the air. And it is very fortunate that again, this wasn't worse, that we didn't roll over or, I mean, I don't think, it didn't even damage the car. It just made it dirty. But anyway, and again, we didn't have a cell phone. And Katie was with me, and she was kind of upset, but she calmed down pretty quickly. And so we got out on the side of the road, and I was we were gonna walk and try and find a telephone to call somebody to come help us. And then some neighbors of ours came by, and I'm trying to remember how this went. And again, Katie, maybe you can add some to this in the comments, but anyway, some neighbors came by, and they offered to take Katie home, which we did. And here's the part I don't remember, that another, I don't know if it was another neighbor or the same neighbors, because the man agreed to stay with me. That's why I think there might have been two neighbors that actually stopped to help. But because there was a young couple that lived across the street, And so anyway, so they stop, and another guy coming from the other way that I don't know, he stops and he, like, are you guys okay? Is there anything I can do to help? And he looks at the car and he said, is it front wheel drive? And I said, yeah. And again, it looks really stuck. Like I said, one of the wheels is up in the air, but this guy says, well, why don't you try to drive it out? Do you really think we can do that? He said, I don't know, but you can try. If it's front wheel drive, those wheels are on the ground. So anyway, so he and this other guy, again, if I remember correctly, a neighbor that stopped, they got in the front of the car, and I got in, and they started rocking it back and forth, and then it came out. We got it out from a place where one wheel was in the air, and got it out on the regular part of the ditch, and everything was okay, and I drove out of the ditch and drove on home. And that was the end of that story. But it was frightening, I will say that. And it was surprising because I didn't expect to be running off the road going that fast. And it wasn't snowy or icy or anything. So anyway, okay. Never take your driving for granted. Driving's a very dangerous thing. And we forget, I think, how dangerous it can be. Anyway, thanks for watching. Love you.